Hello and welcome to another episode of P Practical, and in this episode we'll be talking about microphones. So let's kick off. So I use wireless microphones for PSM Productions, and the reason why is because that allows us to have a clutter-free, wire-free conversation, which I'll explain why that's relevant in a minute. So I just want to talk about the journey of how I got to this decision, but also why and how I use it. So the first thing to understand is that we had been using professional studios, as I had mentioned previously, and these studios were costing us between £600 and £900 a day. And in there we had various setups, and we are a 6-person show on the short back and sides crew. So if you can imagine 6 guys sharing 3 microphones, I think the most we ever had was 4. This created massive problems when it came to editing. Now, the other variable in this is that we all talk at different levels in the group. So there's 2 of us who speak really loud. I'm not one of them. I'm actually one of the more quiet ones. And the rest of us fairly quiet, fairly soft voices. So what this meant was, when we were sharing the microphones, it was incredibly hard to edit because you'd just get one microphone strand of audio, and you had to work out who was speaking when.
Yeah.
And that's what's interesting, because I grew up like North London. I went to school in Tottenham, grew up in Muswell Hill.
Which, okay, when paired with the footage is okay, but you'd have to cut each individual audio clip, which is crazy. So that was the first sign. The second issue we ran into in the studio was that basically sometimes the microphones weren't on.
I'm going to go 4 times.
4 times.
I'm going to just say 5, but because of the kind of food we eat, we're a bit more.
And it actually wasn't easy for us to tell, sitting at a distance from the microphones, when you're mid-conversation, in the flow, you're having a debate, whatever. It wasn't always easy for us to see whether or not these microphones were on. And that led to a couple of instances where we didn't even get the audio files from the microphone when we extracted the ISO. So coupled that with also the fact that we had to download the audio files as well, and you didn't have a backup, you just had the output of the ISO, because obviously when you have a wired connection there's no internal storage. We've lost files in that instance as well. So these were the main criteria that basically flagged for me to say, right, how am I going to go about using microphones for PSM Productions, and what would that look like? So the first thing to mention is my first mic, which was the Rode NTS-USB Mini. Now the reason I purchased this was because back in 2020 I started my very first podcast, which was the New School HR show. Now, because of the kind of subjects I was talking about, at the time I chose to remain anonymous, and therefore I only needed a microphone, no cameras. So what I needed was something I could plug in to my laptop. And at the time I was using a 2012 MacBook Pro, which I'd upgraded the internal storage and to an SSD drive, and I upgraded the RAM as well. And the thing still works now. But basically I just needed something that connected and something that I could hear myself at the same time through headphones. And this did the job, and I got it for around, I want to say, under £100 at the time. And it was perfectly fine. It has adjustable levels, so what that means is it would elevate my voice like you can with any that have gain. So the criteria was met. I really enjoyed that. And the other thing about this mic was that it comes with a bass, so the bass could go on the desk, and that made it really useful because I could take it anywhere, because like I said, there was no video. But also what it allowed me to do, if I wanted to later on, is attach it to an arm, which I have not done so yet, but that ability is there, meaning that that microphone always has a place with me. So in terms of PSM Productions, explaining what I had about the studio, I decided that the way forward for me to progress was to get wireless mics. So as you can see here, we have a wireless Rode Pro. Now, I opted to buy 4 of them, and that was because really I wasn't sure in the podcast scenario how many people might be there. I think anything above 4 is overkill, but generally speaking, you want to be able to have people have their own microphone. So that's why we did 4. I chose these ones because they have internal storage, so you can record basically directly onto the actual mic, or transmitter they call it. And there's also a receiver. So the receiver can be plugged into a camera. This basically enables you to be able to record both wireless mics directly into the footage. But what you have is the audio going into the camera, like so, but also the audio recording onto the storage, which means you have 2 copies of the audio, which having lost audio files before was a really big advantage for me. This also comes with an app. So there is the Rode app, which allows you to do various things within it. The main thing I've used it for is just to check the audio files, make sure that they're all there. You can adjust the audio files within it, but also you can adjust the way that you record. So I use timecode so that I can sync the audio to the camera. If for whatever reason I am using a different microphone on the camera, or if I'm just using the camera's internal mic, because actually I don't want to carry so much in my bag. This is really easy to use. You can attach it to the Rodecaster mic as Rodecaster Pro 2 as well, wirelessly, which is a massive feature to have. You can record. You can add 2 at a time, and you can also add 2 at a time to the Rodecaster video. So for me, that means that I can actually technically have all 4 wireless mics connected to the Rode products that I'm using. But Rode, you guys liked my comment when I said, can we have 4 wireless connections? But it doesn't happen at the moment. There is a way around this. You can get an adapter, which basically connects your transmitter into the Rode Pro or the Rode Video, and then using that transmitter you can record the 2. So there is a way around it, but you don't really want to do that. Each mic has a headphone, a 3.5 jack as well, so it can be used just as the mic directly onto the camera, which is also a good thing, because again, if you're out and about and you just want to record one mic, you're just using it directly with the camera, then you can do so. So there's a lot of flexibility there, and the main thing that I wanted was to have the flexibility to be able to use the microphones as I saw fit. Now there is Rode Goes, I think they're on version 3 now, I don't keep track of it, so the mics have got better over time, but so far there is no replacement for the Pro, so I've kept these, but these were a good investment for me. I'm never at the moment going to need anything more than that. The other thing to mention is you can adjust the audio to match the frames. So within the Studio app, you can actually set it to record at 30p, 25p, so it will sit. Mine are always at 25 for that, because I generally have my cameras on that. So the other thing was that when you're recording a podcast, I talked about the freedom. What I found was, as I mentioned earlier, when people were recording with mics that were on stands, etc., we keep moving the mics, it keeps getting adjusted. It's force of habit. You take a drink, you move the mic. You don't get that with this. I'm completely able to pick up my phone or pick up the transmitter or put on my glasses. You know, there's absolutely no clutter, which is helpful. And again, when you have a mobile podcast solution set up, this enables that to stay as it is. Next thing to talk about is the price. So at the time of recording, let's see how much they are. But these do often go on offer, like everything. And so, as you've probably established by now, I buy everything when they're on offer, because I just don't see the point of spending so much money, especially when you're getting multiple stuff. So at the moment, now this is interesting. At the moment, these are £220 on Amazon. Can I see how much I paid for it? It says purchased, view order. I'm pretty sure this is cheaper because when I bought them, they were not at the same price. 315. So, and that was an offer. I'm pretty sure at the time they were nearer to £400 for two. So these have now gone down to 220. So buy yourself some. There is absolutely no reason why you wouldn't do so. Might get another pair. Or does that mean there's a new one coming out? Maybe that's what that means. So keep an eye out for that, because what I would say is if there is a new one coming out, this more than does the job. So for £220 for two, I would do it. Now the next mic that I've purchased is actually the Rode Video Pro Plus, which is sitting on top of the camera that we're using today. And actually that's how I've been recording these episodes. So this camera sits on my camera as it is today, or it sits on my cage when I'm using the main camera. And the reason I got that is because this allows me to basically change the audio source that goes through the camera. And when I'm recording podcasts or I'm recording interviews outside or anything like that, what I can do is guarantee that this microphone is going to pick up the voices, and later on when I go to sync the audio, like I will with this, it will basically sync my clip and my audios really well. I won't have to do any adjustments. From there I can pick basically the audio files, and I can attach these audio files to multicam footage as well. So that was the main reason. Now these go, and I'm going to see how much they are now because probably it's gone down again, but at the time I got it for around, well, I'm a bit confused now, so let's see, video mic, so this one is currently £239. This is a shotgun one. Yep, that's the one I've got. So let's see how much I paid for it. Now I only got this in November, so I paid the same price. So that's okay. I haven't lost any money on there yet. But actually, if you go on to Rode, they are selling them for about 280. So this is about £50 off. And the reason I picked this one was because it had the gain control on there, but also it had a chargeable battery instead of needing reusable batteries. And with this on offer at $230, the one underneath it isn't on offer, and that's at around 190. So for me, for the £40 difference, I thought to myself, having the flexibility of knowing I can charge it and leave it, I would do so. So that's why I picked this one. But also this one, the shooting, I guess like the other one, you can attach it to a pole, and you can have it as a broadcaster mic hanging above head as well. This one apparently has better pickup, and that's why I took it. I kind of had that extra bit of money there. It's very lightweight, can be used on the desk as well, albeit I don't think it's designed to do it. I haven't done that yet myself, but it does stand on its own when I have it in storage, so that's quite a cool feature for me. So next thing is talk about DJI. Now, at the time when I got this, DJI didn't have 32-bit float recording. So 32-bit float recording is now I bought these mics because they had 32-bit float recording, and like I said, at the price range, this was a big thing for me. So basically what 32-bit means is basically you won't get any clipping. You'll get the whole digital sound exactly as it's meant to be heard, but also you can change the volume, which is the gain, which I've been speaking about. So if you wanted to level it up, you can do so. At the moment this is set at 20 plus gain, so that's the mic that's on the camera, so that will be elevating my voice naturally on that. These ones, I think I have them on plus 12, But basically I can adjust the gain, making it lower or higher, which is pretty good because, like I say, when you've got people who have different levels of voice, you can always attest to matching it as best as you can. So for example, I'd make my voice higher because I know it's low, but there's another member of the panel whose voice is definitely made for podcasting and stuff, and you can hear him loud and crisp. But if we're having a two-way conversation, it can kind of hurt your ears when you're listening on headphones. So therefore what I've done is I've adjusted those levels. So that's what it does. There is a disadvantage to that, which is the files will be bigger. I did mention previously sometimes the files can be like a gigabyte or so for one episode, which is quite a lot when you're transferring stuff on the fly. But it's really good. You can use it for the live events as well. It takes out the background noise, which has done me really well when we've done the outdoor interviews. And so that's what I wanted for these mics, and that's what it allows me to do. The DJI stuff though, the reason why I have to enter the conversation with this is because I now use DJI products. So the DJI Action 5, which, like I said, is quite good for my streaming videos straight into like YouTube or Instagram, etc., social media content. It means that if I was doing that, I wouldn't have to bring these mics, wires, etc. I could literally just pull out the camera with its tripod and just connect the wires, the mics wirelessly. So the microphones for DJI just connect straight to the camera that you're using, and you don't have to do anything in the settings. You just go, and you know that footage is going to have I guess this quality audio. So that is pretty cool. Obviously Rode don't have any mics or anything like that, so there isn't that piece there. Now I am thinking about whether or not I get the new DJI Pocket, which will be for behind the scenes. So it might be that I get, for example, the mini DJI mics just for myself. Those are like under £100. That will give me the freedom to have my behind the scenes stuff, recording myself. It's not really visible, those mics, they're very small, without interrupting the flow of whoever's using the main mics when we're recording. So that is something that I am thinking about for my behind the scenes stuff. And that was the door. So in terms of lessons, there's no lessons as such really for me in this instance. The studio stuff kind of gave me the experience that made me look into the audio a bit more, made me think about what I was doing with the audio. So the main thing really for me is about the mobility and making things less fiddly. So having this mic has changed things for me. I know that I can just synchronize. Having these wireless pros and being able to just click and drag the files directly to someone's SSD drive onto the cloud whilst I'm there is really cool, because sometimes people want to take away the audio and do what they want with it, and so this allows me to edit it, allows them to do whatever they need to do with it. And so these are the methods that I use to ensure that we have crisp audio at all time. There was one episode that I recorded, I think it was the first one, where I hadn't turned this microphone on, the one on top of the camera, and the sound difference between that episode and the rest is very visible. So they say that audio is the key to video, and so I'll always use this level of quality where I can for a client or a customer. I don't need that for myself necessarily, because I can adjust things later on, but you just want to have the best version of what's taken place as possible. And I think the results speaks for themselves. When you see the footage for the interviews that we did outside, there was one where obviously the microphone was on, which is this one.
Have you come across people that have been victims and stuff? You spoke to a few people here?
And then you have one where one microphone wasn't turned on, and you can clearly hear the quality difference.
Have you felt being here today? Like, has it been good turnout?
So the windshields being there make a massive bonus. You know, the day that we filmed this footage that I showed you, it was winter. It was a cold, windy day, but you don't see that. You only see it on the people, but their voices are completely coming through fine. And again, you can see different levels. So louder voices.
I'm all good, thank you.
Lower voices.
We had one story, but it's just a bit of like even.
This hasn't had an issue. So yeah, no interviews, no lessons as such, apart from I'll continue to use these methods until something better comes out or there's something to consider. Can't see myself moving away from these, but the only thing I might consider is if there's something smaller, less visible. But at the same time, I think there's something about having these, you know, that if somebody has a Rode Pro, that they're generally taking their content serious. So I like it from that premium aspect. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode. Can you hear me? See you later. Take peace.